Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaye Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prasharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Om Surabhyai Namaha. Welcome everyone. Like last two sessions we had last week on Saturday and Sunday. First day session was by His Grace Madhava Prabhu on introduction of the dirty soil, the overall summary he had given, and also wonderful points he covered actually. And at the same time, the next day, that is on last Sunday, the function of farmers was covered by His Grace Dr. Sree Kumar Prabhu, where we have learned the consequences caused and at the same time the decisions which we have taken are the consequences what we are seeing now. So so we have also understood what is that actually the function of a farmer. The function of a farmer is to orchestrate with the nature. Nature is within itself, and it is like all resources are available already at the side, and the farmer's duty is to only orchestrate, only to manage the resources. That is how it is. Today, let us also go into very elaborately into the function of plants and landscapes by Dr. Sree Kumar Prabhu. So I request Dr. Sree Kumar Prabhu, please take on the session, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, your mic is mute.
Yes. Prabhuji, can I share my PPTs?
Yes, 1 minute, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu, you can share.
Okay. Yes, come, Prabhu.
Yes.
Namaste to all. Welcome back to the course. As Vasnama Prabhu had described what all we have covered, and we have understood that biodiversity is something, it's a complex thing, and we human beings do not have that ability to manage the complexity as long as we don't study the texts that teaches us how to manage the complexity. So those things are actually seen only in our Puranas. So most of the examples that we try to give are references from the Puranas, so that we don't have any system of education at present which teaches us how to manage the complexity. So that issues we should know that even though we have a degree that will give you more money, but it needn't be one that gives us common sense. So then we do understand that each and every species in the biodiversity has a function, and it is the collective function. All the functions coming together is what gives us abundance. That is the Purna. That's how it is. We are supposed to live in this ecosystem. So the main topic is the common sense approach to managing landscapes with the biodiversity. By living with biodiversity, how can we manage? So today's topic, so last time we saw what is the function of a farmer, any human being, what's function. And today we'll be seeing into what is the function of plants and the landscapes. This is something that we are actually managing. So like last time, we have cleared that we have a context for this course, And this is what we want to achieve, that we want to have stable families, living peaceful, healthy lives in prosperity and physical security. We would like to pursue our own spiritual or religious beliefs. We want adequate, nutritious food, not just food, nutritious food, clean water, clean air from fertile landscapes. This is. I don't think there is anyone who doesn't want to live in such a lifestyle or whose context is not this. It's the family, friends, community, and leisure for culture and other pursuits. And we want real education, contextual decision making. That so that we learn to take decisions so that we can achieve the lifestyle that we want, the quality of life we want. For this we need a life-sustaining behavior. That is, which will be brought about by behaving with integrity as a being with all the life forms, by ensuring them to live their lifespan. We want everyone to live their lifespan, performing their functions. So we need to know what is the function of each species that is there living along with us. We have to be being open, tolerant, non-judgmental, honest and respectful, ensuring mutual respect and support for team humanity as we live with each other and our environment in harmony, all to be ensured for many generations to come. That is, this lifestyle or the quality of life we want is not just for us alone. It has to be bettered because the Purna is such that the more you use it properly, the more better it becomes. So then it has to be there for generations to come on a foundation of regenerating soils and biologically diverse communities on Earth's land and in our rivers, lakes, and oceans. See, if it was coming up the right way for the generations to come, then how come the chronic diseases are increasing? So that means we are not taking decisions to meet our context. That is clear, no? So we need to be aware, are our decisions taking us to this context? And we understood in the last class that we are all decision makers. And all decisions are influenced by the paradigm. And we know that there are different paradigms we also understood. But the universal Vedic paradigm is that the personality of God is Purnamadam Purnamidam. That is the universal paradigm. The personality of God, the Creator, is perfect and complete. And whatever He has created is also perfect and complete. That is the main message here. And which are the highlights in this? It is syntropic. The more you grow, the more resources or fertility it generates. Then that is the Purna here. It's not that you have given 5 glasses of water and we will finish it with 5 glasses. No, it keeps coming. The more water you use, the more water has to come. That is the system. That is why it's called Purna. Increasing population doesn't deplete the resources in the ecosystem. The more people, no issue. That is how the system has been made. The resources are available at site, no need for any more individual. That is the understanding of Purna. The system is Purna. All the resources are there at the site. There is no need for any more inventions. We have only tried to add value to the condition, and we are now showered with chronic diseases. So it's better to live with the resource at site. No difference between farm and farmer, as we are a being in the farm, because all are being. We are not the only persons living in the landscape. There are many other species there. So since we all constitute the whole, then there isn't much difference between us with respect to the responsibilities. While technology is sometimes important, biodiversity is much more powerful for creating a future we want. We are not against technology, but what we are trying to say is technology is actually replacing the function of a species. Nature is self-organizing and relentless. See, relentless means it keeps continuing. It's not like a machine. When something goes wrong, it stops, but nature doesn't stop. It is only managed by man, but not made by man. So it is relentless. We may be thinking, so if we go like this, the population increases. It is not going to increase. See, even though the population increases, you will see that, the number of children with autism, which was once long time, years back, it was about 25 years back or so, it was 1 in 3,000. Now it is 1 in 7. In a few years, it's going to be 1 in 7. That means the more of autism children or children mentally retarded will increase, the infertility will increase. And there are methods by which nature will control the population. If we do not follow the Purna. That is why it is relentless. There are no parts in nature. Thinking in wholes is critical to making better decisions. We have to see as a whole. We are not the only species here, and then only it will happen. So for only a conscious being with Athena, he is working for his context, shall have the skill to manage complexity in our. It's a complex system. It's not a complicated, it's a complex system. What we make is complicated, but what is given to us is complex. So the way we manage is we are in the center. All decisions we make do not consider the well-being of other species. We are doing, I am doing for me. That is the thing, how we are thinking. So the human doing. But in nature, we are just a human being. We are just a being. So see here, the word simultaneously is very important. All decisions made simultaneously considered. Whenever see, I am taking a decision, that decision will be simultaneously considering the well-being of all other species. That is how we behave as a human being. So then only we can manage the complexity properly. So now we might have heard a lot about literacy. Literacy means how to read, to learn, how to learn to read and write. That's literacy. But what is ecosystem literacy? Ecosystem literacy is not just learning to read and write. It is understanding from the land what she is trying to tell you to do. That is what it is. You are looking at the land. If you may be looking at the book, you are trying to read something. You are understanding what the book is telling you to do. The same way ecosystem literacy is, you are looking at the land, and then we need to understand what is she trying to tell us to do. That is ecosystem literacy. To become a land medic. And if you are a good land medic, there is no scope for medical colleges. That is the thing. Even though we may be owning a farm, we may be literate in the way to read and write, but factually, we are managing an ecosystem in which we are a being. We are a being in that whole. So we need to know how to manage, how to understand what is it that the system is trying to tell us to do. So then how do you gauge the health of the ecosystem of this soil? We need an understanding of the 4 basic ecosystem services that work in all ecosystems. That is, how is it that this Purna is functioning? See, science is to learn to understand how this Purna is functioning. And what has to up to date, till date, what is it that the science is telling us how to manage it without losing the complexities, what we are trying to share to you. We need to understand. So only when there are 4 ecosystem processes that are functioning, can we get or can we achieve our our holistic context of getting real milk, real grains, real vegetables, fruits, and real water. That is our context. So a knowledge about these 4 ecosystem processes is what is going to give us the chance or ability to achieve our context. It is these 4 ecosystem services that a farmer should harvest. That is, these 4 ecosystem processes keep increasing it, harvest, and that is how we achieve our context. And so we should be knowing which are the 4, which is right in front of us, and we have to feel the Purna. Which are they? That is, to achieve that ice cream of quality life, there are 4 things that is there. That is the nature's gift for our quality of life. They are the water cycle, solar energy flow, community dynamics, and mineral cycle. Don't think that even though there are four terms that has been told, don't worry, these are very simple things because it is a part of the Purna only. No, all decisions we take to manage our landscape should be in favor of these 4 processes. Whichever post you are holding, whichever position you are, your decision, you should be in favor of these processes. Otherwise, just imagine you are sitting on a branch and you are holding a knife and you are cutting that branch. If we are deviating from these 4 ecosystem processes, and that is where we are reached now, we are busy cutting the branch on which we are sitting with. Of course, we do not know about this Purna. They are nothing but 4 windows into the same room. It is nothing big thing. It is the 4 windows of one single room. Through whichever window you look into, you are seeing the same room. Such simple it is. I'm just repeating again. Their energy flow, the solar energy flow, the community dynamics, water cycle, mineral cycle. only when these four are in place, and none of these can function singly, because it is one room only, no? It is only different windows. It's only one room. They cannot function singly. They have to function together. So we will look into each what it means. So there is a basic principle in the organic movement. It is built on a fundamental principle. The birthright of all living things is health. That is our birthright. This law is true for the soil, plant, animal, and man. The health of these four is one connected chain. That is, the health of the landscape is connected to healthy, we get a healthy food and fiber. Then it is connected to the healthy people and healthy planet. So it's one connected chain. Animals, cows in a good landscape provides excess milk. That is how we get the milk. So it's one connected chain. It cannot function singly. Any weakness or defect in the health of any earlier link in the chain is carried on to the next and succeeding links until it reaches the last, namely man. The widespread vegetable and animal pests and diseases that we are facing are evidence of a great failure of health in the plants. If you are seeing an insect or a pest attack or any problem with the plant, it is only meaning there is a failure in the health of the plant. And if you're seeing it in the animal, it simply means that it is affecting the health of the animal. That is how we have to realize. So you see, these are different conditions that we see with respect to cows or the plants. It is just because that particular species is not healthy. As a consequence of this failure in the plant, that is the second link in the chain, and animal, the third link in the chain, there will be impairment of health in the human population. That is what we are also not healthy today. Chronic diseases more because it is because the preceding link also is not healthy. This general failure in the last three links, which are the last three links, that is the plants, animals, and man, is to be attributed to the failure in the first link, which is that it is the soil. The undernourishment of the soil is at the root of all, because it starts from the soil and then it finally ends up in man. So some pictures are shown. This is what we see commonly today. And then you cannot expect to be cured by just having a mask on the face. It won't happen. There are many things that we have to do because it's a chain. It is not the soil. It's not the soil itself. It is the soil life that is most important element. Because we understood that it is a soil, but we have to go even microscopically. See, it is the lack of life in the soil that is the cause of the problem. Any problem you take, any disease you take, the cause of the problem is actually lack of life in the first element, that is the soil. Which is what do you mean by life? It is the micro and macro. All the beings that are there, it constitutes. Even a rat, even a boar, even a peacock, whatever you see in an earthworm, even a bacteria. See, 1 tablespoon, I'm just showing in the right side, 1 tablespoon of soil, this is the number of microbes that is there. How much life is there? So this is absence of this life is the cause of the problem that we are facing with the soil, and then naturally it will lead to the plants, likewise it goes. See, the life below estimating 1 square meter of land, this is the life that is there, micro life, micro and macro, this is the life that is there. 1 acre may house 10,000 to 30,000 pounds of below ground biomass, which is equivalent to 20 to 30 cows. That much weight of biomass from the life is there in the soil. It's a quantity and diversity of soil life that decides the fertility of our landscapes and our health. That is how the link is. Alone, just as human beings, we cannot get health. It is linked. It is a chain. So then what is soil health? It is the continued capacity of a soil to function as a vital living ecosystem that sustains plants, animals, and living beings. So it's a continued capacity of the soil. It has to come, not that in summer it is dead and only it wakes up in the rainy season. No, throughout the year, it has to be functioning. That is what soil health means. And can we expect a continued functional capacity from the soil that is bare, it is hungry, thirsty, with high fever because of the heat of the sun, and gets heated up because it's exposed to direct sunlight? Can we expect that continued capacity here? See the erosion, bleeding landscape. See on the left side, you see the soil is being eroded. Can we expect a continued capacity? Are we able to produce more food than eroding soil? Will that happen? A landscape that is a 3rd-degree burn, we are putting fire. Can we expect continued capacity for the soil? The soil is naked, hungry, thirsty, and running a fever. We can't function in such a situation. Then how can we expect the soil to do its function? It cannot happen. No? So such a poorly managed landscape ultimately leads to the elephant come entering our living room. All the things you see is because of the lack of soil life. So to achieve the quality of life we are looking for, we need a holistically managed landscape. We need to change the way we see things. But the known truth is that without agriculture, it is not possible to have a city, stock market, banks, university, place of worship. Agriculture is a foundation of civilization and stable economy. So that means our soil is our future. And quality soil can only bring quality life, because that is our context. So the soil also has to be of a quality. So we usually have heard the term sustainability. We want to be sustainable. What is that you want to sustain? This degraded state you want to sustain? Will you be able to live in such a situation which I have shown now? No, sustainability is degenerating. How can we sustain on that? So now we have to regenerate, bring it to the maximum level, and then think of sustainability. That is where it is something between only. You cannot achieve the present system. There is no question of achieving sustainability. You want to sustain the same thing? Is that where we are is the degenerative phase. Regenerative is what we need to be, and sustainable when we get that state of regeneration. And it is at that time, my internet is so now it's okay. So that is how we have to understand. We have to regenerate now before thinking of sustainability. So then how do we convert this dirt or dust into a living soil? What is the method? See, we know that it's Purna, the system is Purna. So that means there should be a system in the Purna that can convert this dust into soil. What is it that? There is no life without soil and no soil without life. So how is it that we can turn this dust into the soil? There is a system in the Purna, and that can be done as shown in this sloga. The natural in Srimad Bhagavatam 7th chapter, the 7th canto, 14th chapter, 7th sloga says, the natural products created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead should be used to utilize. That is how to live in this Purna, or how to be living in the Purna without looking for input from outside. There's a system that has been told that the natural products created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead should be utilized to maintain the bodies and souls of all living entities. The necessities of life are of 3 types. Those produced from the sky, that is the sun, moon, and rain, from the earth, the minerals, and from the atmosphere, that is also again the minerals. So we have to get it from the sky, the earth, and the atmosphere. So the resources are there at the site. So then with these resources, which is a system in Purna that can convert the dirt into soil. It's nothing, simple thing. It is photosynthesis. How to make it? Soil cannot grow. This is the basic we should understand. Soil cannot grow or form in the absence of plants. Plants have to be there if soil has to be. You need a soil. Photosynthesis is the one and only process, or the one and the only industry permitted in Purna by which the soil can live and become more fertile. No other industries are permitted if we want to enjoy the Purna. The only industry permitted is photosynthesis. And the infrastructure needed for that industry is also given in the Purna, that is the plants. Any action on our part to remove the plants from the system, we are cutting the branch on which we are sitting. How much money you earn? The photosynthetic capacity of the soil. So the photosynthetic capacity of the landscape we are managing. and the photosynthetic rate of the plant that we are managing influences the soil building. Fertile humus-rich topsoil is a product of photosynthesis and microbial resynthesis. Photosynthesis fuels all life on earth. Please mark it on your head. Photosynthesis is the thing that can convert the process that can convert, and this is possible only with plants. And so to convert the soil, the dirt into soil, that means if we want life in the soil, you need plants growing on it. So what is happening in the photosynthesis? This is very important to understand. See, we all know what photosynthesis is. We have learned that, when the sunlight hits the leaf, is what happens. So what happens then? Then sugars, various nutrients are produced in the leaf. And then what happens to it? Just imagine 100% is produced. Of this, 50%, up to 50%, or maybe even less, depending upon the stage of the growth of the plant, 50% goes for the life above the soil. For that particular plant, it needs a part that is there above the soil and a part below the soil. So 50% of his, or the 40% of plant sugar stored in above ground mass. That is the stem, the leaves. Then the remaining 60% goes down. So how it is that 60% going on? 30% of the sugars goes to the roots. And then where does the remaining 30% go? That 30% of sugars move into the soil. It is exudes of the soil, so exudates, feeding them vast microbial populations that makes plants healthy. That means at the same time, the upper biomass, the lower biomass of the plant, and then it is giving it to the soil to feed the soil life. This is what photosynthesis is. So by giving this exudate to the soil, it is giving up life, bringing up life, and that is how this is done by each and every plant in our system. Every plant in the system does this function of photosynthesis. So plants convert sunlight, water, carbon dioxide into sugar. This is exactly what we know about photosynthesis. But what happens after this produced is very important, because it gives a share to the soil to feed the soil life. And that is what gets converted into permanent or stable form of carbon in the soil. So then that slowly, our soil gets darker and darker, and then more and more life comes in. So one thing you have to understand is each and every plant, which whatever name you call it, is doing this function. So just to in a simple way how to understand, I'll show in this video.
Plants with sunlight and water perform photosynthesis. They pull in carbon.
Audio is there? Audio is there?
Yes.
Plants with sunlight and water perform photosynthesis. They pull in carbon from the air and turn it into carbohydrates, sugars. Then they pump some of those sugars down through their roots to feed microorganisms who use that carbon to build soil. Voila, carbon moves. Plants pump it in and soil stores it. Nature's living technology is amazing.
It is amazing. See, on the right side, you see the more the roots go down, the more the color changes. That is how soil life is sustained. This has to happen. If the soil life is what is important for our life, then this is the way the soil gets the life. It is fed by the plants. Plants are the ones which feed all life forms, micro or macro. And two pathways we might be seeing in the process of building the soil. That is, one is this one which you understood, it's called the liquid carbon pathway, or the solar energy flow. I told the 4 ecosystem processes. This is the solar energy flow, first one. That is how the solar energy flows into the soil. And that is the right side you see, more because of the life, that flow is there and the soil is getting the color. The left one is the second method. That is, once the plant grows, it sheds the leaves and it falls on the top. That is the second method. And so these two methods are there by which it is done. One is the decomposition process, the other one is the liquid carbon pump. Both has to happen. Both are happening simultaneously. Each has a different function. But in the first, the second, what you see on the left is helping the plant to be there because it retains the moisture on the soil and it is the habitat for all the soil macro life. So that is what the mulch or whatever falls from the plant happens. But the more pumping is what actually builds the soil faster. That is how more life can be fed. Deeper down, it is only through this that the soil life. So these two things should happen. So it is the photosynthetic capacity and the photosynthetic rate, not just the biomass, that drives the sequestration of carbon. So that means mulch alone won't do. Both this should happen. The carbon pumping, it is a solar energy flow, and the mineral cycle. That is what you see the leaf falling on the top. So then what is the difference between photosynthetic capacity and photosynthetic rate? See, from now on, please remember these two terms because I'll be using it we'll be using this term till the end of the course. That is till the last day, this will be used. What is photosynthetic capacity? Photosynthetic capacity is the amount of light, that is the sunlight, intercepted by green leaves in a given area. Just think you have 1 acre or 100 acres. How much light is being intercepted by green leaves is what photosynthetic capacity. Just not that much. Some more are there. That is for how much time in a given year. For 365 days in a year. For how many days are you intercepting? That means for how many days is the green leaf intercepting? So it is not just the how many amount of light intercepted, but for how much time of the year and with how many types of leaves, not just one type of leaf as we do for monocropping. No, how many types of leaf for how much time of the year is intercepting the sunlight that is falling on your landscape. That is what is meant by photosynthetic capacity. It is very easy to measure. Just you need a soil thermometer with that, and shown below that thermometer, which now it is very prominent in all shops. We may be having this infrared thermometer to say like the temperature because of the COVID. That particular instrument is enough to understand what is the photosynthetic capacity of your landscape. This is a must. Any decision taken as a farmer in your landscape, it should increase the photosynthetic capacity. That is the main goal. Then what is the photosynthetic rate? The rate at which plants are able to convert light energy into soil. That is, it is for an individual plant, how much effectively it is doing. And that is that is efficient functioning is dependent on the 4 ecosystem processes that we are studying. Which are the 4 ecosystem processes? The water cycle, the mineral cycle, the carbon, the mineral, solar energy flow, and community dynamics. These 4 are dependent, and more diverse soil life is, the more the rate is. That means more diverse soil life is, more efficient will be the rate of functioning of the plant. And this can be measured with a refractometer. That is the equipment shown down, which measures the nutrient density in that particular thing that we are measuring. Maybe a leaf, maybe a stem, maybe a fruit. And depending on measuring that, we can understand what is the health of that particular plant, how efficiently is the photosynthetic rate taking place. And it is called, this measure is called Brix. Brix is the value that denotes the nutrient density in that particular food. See, this is a market that is today's market is this. See, on the left side, the right side, you have 2 different types of fruits, same fruit. See the difference? The Brix value of the left one is 15 and the cost you see, and the right one, the Brix value is 10 and the cost you see. This is what is going to happen tomorrow. We will be looking at the Brix and purchasing. It is going to be handy, more handy, like the thermometer. It will be coming in our mobile phones. That is, the research is going on just to measure the nutrient density. And this is how it is. And it has been found that when it is above 12, when the Brix is above 12, no insect can attack the plant. What does that mean? It's a clear indicator. No, the more efficient the photosynthetic rate is, the photosynthetic rate is related to the photosynthetic capacity, because more diverse the plant soil life, it functions more. In that condition, there is no option for the insect to come and damage the plant. Because the plant is healthy. Insects do not eat healthy plants. Healthy plants feed the insects. They don't kill the plant. That is how it is. So when when the healthy plant it becomes unhealthy, it is not able to feed, but the insect has to eat. So then it ultimately ends in the death of the plant. So it is when you are able to achieve a Brix value of above 12, you needn't fear of any sort of any other attacks. I've lost my power here. Prabhuji, there is a problem with the power. If it doesn't come, Shanam Prabhu, you are there.
I'm there, but how will I change the slide?
No, slides, Vasudama Prabhu will be able to show.
Yes, Prabhu. There's a problem with me also. I'm unable to download the slides.
Oh.
1 minute, let me try.
Just try. Okay, I'll continue till the power goes. Hope Krishna.
Yeah.
So the next one is, remember, if you don't have a living root in the soil, you are not building soil. Power has come. So if you don't have a living root in the soil, you are not building soil or adding to the mineral and nutrient bank. Just see the pictures. You are doing the growing monocropic means growing for one species, not growing one species. Growing for one species is monocropping. See there, the sunlight is not hitting the plant leaf, it is hitting the soil. See the other one, at least two varieties of it is not enough. You need more because we are not able to manage the complexity. We can manage, we may put 10, we may put 20, but biodiversity is not 20, it is much more. So only biodiversity can be created only with biodiversity. That is the thing. So we need a living root, then only soil can build. See, here also you see your plant is living root or the living leaf is less, more of mulch. So 100% cover 100% of the time. Preferably through living plants, the better option to harvest sunlight to improve the fertility of the land we are managing. But we need a living plants. The photosynthetic capacity is how much leaves are intercepting the sunlight and how many types and for how much time. That is what photosynthetic capacity is. This is how it has to be. Even each plant supports its type of microbes. The greater the diversity of plants, the greater the diversity of microbes. Greater the diversity of microbes, more will be the photosynthetic rate of a plant. The Brix will be more only when we have a diverse system. This system we cannot manage, we cannot create. It can only be created with biodiversity. We should be a being and with the help of the biodiversity only, because each species has its own method of propagation. We are maybe putting some seeds, but more than that, we need the help of the other species also to bring in this system. The sun's light, when it comes, it has three pathways. What happens when it comes here? First one is it can be transformed into photosynthesis by plants, that we know, that is to increase the photosynthetic capacity. In case we spill a ray of sunlight, then it is like cutting the branch on which we are sitting. What will happen? It can be transformed into evaporation. It hits the soil, takes the water away. Whatever water we have on the soil also will be taken away. Or it can be transformed into heat. As you see, it can heat, reflect, or it can get reflect. So then we will feel the temperature is increasing around, summer it is 50 degrees. Why? At that 50 degree, you should know the soil temperature will be 70 degrees. So by reducing the soil temperature, you can reduce the atmospheric temperature. And to reduce the soil temperature, just intercept the sun rays with a leaf, thus a living leaf, not with a dead leaf, with a living leaf. Living leaf, dead leaf can protect the soil, but it cannot reduce the heat. The heat we produced will be the same. So these three, you have to decide which way I should harvest. If solar radiation cannot be absorbed by plants and used in photosynthesis, it is absorbed by the ground or reflected back into the atmosphere, creating heat vortices. And you just see, as there are, by measuring the soil temperature, we can understand at 21 degrees centigrade, 100% moisture is used for growth. There will be water on the soil if you are able to maintain it at 20. 38 degrees centigrade, 15% of the moisture is used for growth. You will get only of the 100%, only 15% moisture will be there. Only those plants that can grow with this moisture can survive. 85% of the moisture will be lost through evaporation and transpiration. If it further increases, 100% moisture is lost through evaporation and transpiration, and 60 degree, everything goes. So that we have to see what is the temperature, and the temperature indicates the photosynthetic capacity of your landscape. This is all what about the solar energy flow. The plants are the be all and the end all of our landscapes. Photosynthesis supports all life on earth. Any action that reduces the photosynthesis happening in our soil is like cutting the branch on which we are sitting. Without photosynthesis, there would be no soil. No life in the soil, no life. That is the thing. So when soil life, this see, as you see on the left side, no plants on top. What is the structure? More of sand. There is air into the structure. It's less water. See, immediately when there is something growing, you see the color of the soil changes. More of organic matter, more of water, more of air. This is how the soil should be looking like. And there is a statement in Tirukural which says, the plovers are the linchpin of the world. The plovers. Here it has been missed. See, what is the linchpin? So you see the on top, you can see that bullock cart, and that pin that supports this wheel is the linchpin. Without that pin, the whole wheel can come out. That is the role of the plovers in our system. Without the help of plowing, we cannot grow any plant. We cannot live in this world. But what is the meaning of plowing? Who are the real plowers? See, on the left side, you see a plowed soil. It is a plowed soil, but not with tractor. It is plowed with the life that you see on the right side. They are the plowers, not our machines. If we have to use a machine, it simply means we lost the function of this life. That is what I told you initially. You need a technology only because we lost a function. So here, when we lose the soil life, you need to plow. If there is soil life, it will look like the left one only. Why do you need to plow that? The roots and all the soil life fed by the plants constitute the plowers. So these two ways that which the soil is fed, one is through the root exudate that you know by photosynthesis, and the crop residues that are supposed to fall on the top. These are the two ways. They constitute the plowers. And you see in this particular sloga in Parashara Smriti, it says, what sin or damage a fisherman incurs in the course of one full year, the same is incurred by the driver of a plowshare made of iron in the course of a single day. Just one day of plowing with a metal plow is equivalent to 1 year of fishing. That is how it is. I mean, you are diminishing the life in the soil. They are the ones who are supposed to plow your land, not our machines. See this video.
Plowing is a pretty radical idea for any farmer. But looking at some old footage from our farm, the damage it causes is now pretty obvious. This is far fields back in the 80s. The life in the soil is a feast for the birds. After 20 years of the same treatment, no birds, the soil is dead.
See, it is so clear now. 20 years before and now. Plowing is going on, but there is no one to eat the life that was disturbed by the plowing process. That is why it is told it is equivalent to 1 year of catching fish. So that is what the solar energy flow. I hope you have understood how that solar energy flow happens. Then coming to the second ecosystem process, that is the water cycle. So here previously it was how much sunlight have we harvested. Water cycle is nothing but how much rain have we harvested. Just that much only. How much rain that is coming, because in the Shastra it is told, no, the resources are at sight and they are the sunlight, the rain that comes from the sky. So now how much did you harvest? Efficient water cycle means least spillage of rainwater. You shouldn't spill the rain water you are getting. You have to hold the full rain where? In your deep soil, not in a pit, but on the surface, in the soil, without any other structure held on the soil. So what is the effective rainfall? You may be getting 500 millimeters, you may be getting 1,500 millimeters, how much ever. How do you define effective rainfall? It is a rain that falls on the surface of the soil, soaks in, and then leaves the soil by two ways. By flowing through the soil to the perennial flows, underground water reservoirs. That is, then it comes out through the springs. That is how it should go inside and should come out through the spring. Once it is full, then it comes out through the springs, or by transpiration through the green leaf. So this is what you mean by effective rain. Water that falls should be held here and should be released only through two ways. One is through the transpiration through the leaves, and through the spring that comes out. This is what we call effective rainfall. Just listen to this.
So really the aim of what we're doing is trying to make the available rainfall more effective. We're out in the rain right now, and you can see it. Where the soil is bare, this water is flowing and depositing silt or carrying silt, depositing it down there. Where the grassland is, where we've got grass plants growing and some litter, there's absolutely no water flowing. This is all just soaking in, and that's what we've got to get. And then that water should only leave the soil through growing plants or underground flow in the water to aquifers and in the soil to aquifers and the river.
So is this happening in your landscape that you're managing? So in solar energy flow usually, is your landscape having the maximum photosynthetic capacity possible? Is your water holding the water, the rain that is falling on your land? This is also something that you have to see. So then how is that a spring it comes out? It is when the rainfall is effective. And in a situation wherein you have a beautiful way of living roots on the land, definitely the spring will be for 365 days. And as the efficiency of your landscape reduces, or the soil carbon or the soil organic matter reduces, the life of your spring also will reduce. So springs form when the rainfall is effective. They can come back if the rain is made effective. That is how it is. See, the condition of the soil surface decides how you can make the rainfall effective. If there is living plants on the top, definitely it will go down. If the soil is bare, as you saw in the video, it will just run off. That is how it is. Soil is the biggest reservoir for rainwater, for which we only need living plants throughout the year. That is, as the photosynthetic capacity of your landscape increases, we will be able to store more rain on our landscape. That is how it is related. And from this you can understand, this left one you see, it is erosion. All the soil that, when it is raining, it is taking away the water. The right side you see, the left one, the soil is coming out. The right one, it is not coming clear. That means it is not taking away the soil. There is some living plant on that soil. The left one, it may be a tilled land where the whole thing is taken away, because it is with the soil life only the soil can be held together by various processes called soil aggregates and all. That will happen only when you have a living root. So unintended consequences of any decision that depletes soil life, like tillage, keeping the soil bare, or monocropping, this is what happens. So you should be understanding. When you see this, as I told you, ecosystem literacy is what you are understanding. What is it that the landscape is telling you to do? Now we have to do something at this situation. That is what ecosystem literacy is. And it should never repeat. That is where the decision should be. So key is in how much rain falls, but what happens after it falls. It's a mango garden. See, water is not held there. Droughts and floods are unintended consequences of our decisions that led to creation of bare soils. That is why I told initially, any decision of yours, whichever post you are holding, whichever organization you are working, if your decision is going to reduce the photosynthetic capacity of your landscape, that decision is not holistic. You are cutting the branch on which we are sitting. We may have to depend more on the technology, but that also again, still we will not be able to get our context. So we have completed two. That is, one is the solar energy flow, the water cycle, and then now we come to the mineral or the nutrient cycle. It's very simple. So first one was how much sunlight we harvested. Second one was how much rainfall we harvested. And this is how much biomass we have harvested. Biomass is nothing but what grows when it rains. After it rains, how much biomass were we able to create? Last year, if you have created 10 tons, this year, how much we create in 1 acre? Did you increase? Is the biomass keeping on increase? And after you have got the biomass, is it recycled there? Or have you lost it? Or have you sold it? So how much biomass have we recycled? We means all the beings. How do we recycle biomass? It is by the process of eating. Any species, every species has the function of eating, and it is by that process of eating that we are recycling the biomass that is produced after every rain. As we learned in the first day, Mother Prabhu had told us, rain has to give more grains. That means more biomass has to give, not the rain shouldn't go to the drains. That is what water cycle comes. So here, see, the cycling of nutrients from plants to other organisms in the soil and back to plant. This has to keep on cycling. Birth, growth, death, and decay. If the birth, growth, and death has to happen properly, then the decay part also has to be proper. That is recycling. How effectively are we harvesting the free tons of biomass resource produced in our landscape? We were thinking mango. Okay, mango I can recycle, but then there are, see, leaves, the mango leaf also can be recycled. When it falls on the ground after it is dead, it is being recycled by some soil life. So every species on the land is recycling the biomass. We are all sustaining on the biomass that is produced by the plants. And it is a duty of all, essential duty of all the living beings to recycle it. We also are one among the recyclers, and we will also get recycled. That is how, that is the death, and then it has to be get recycled. There will be another set of people, species that is supposed to be recycling human beings. So it goes on. It's made possible by the landscape functioning of recycling, that is eating. By the process of feeding, all the life that moves in our landscape are responsibly recycling the biomass produced on it. So please understand, see the world in a different way. When it rains, whatever grows, totally constituted or totally called as biomass. In that biomass, that is the full biodiversity. Some are for us, some are for, and remaining are for all the other biomass. Many things that we eat maybe even be eaten by a monkey. So many we have to share. That is how the system functions. This is what mineral cycle is. We are not supposed to export the biomass that falls on your land. See the leaves, the trees, they shed the leaves. See on the second picture, you see they have completely cleared all the grass that was there, and they have kept it, put it somewhere else, because they don't like that thing growing there, because it is a nuisance. What they think it is a nuisance, but you are creating bare soil. See the bottom one, every day it is being cleaned and taken somewhere and burned. It's like our cleanliness paradigm. This is what is damaging the mineral cycle. We want our soil to be clean by remaining bare. We are hindering the mineral cycle by doing this. So, see, every year in the bulk of our plants, see how much, see that particular area, how much biomass has been created there. Now, after the full growth phase, it starts to dry up. So this has to be recycled. All the biomass that follows the rain is the food and habitat for all the beings on the earth. So now, which are the methods we are now adopting with our present mindset is how cheaply I can do it. See, we can put fire, finished, everything goes, or you can use a technology to cut it down. and it leads to chemical oxidation. That is what happens. Or leave it for chemical oxidation. That is remains there slowly, it gets oxidized. So technology is not viable. Fire is not viable. Resting land is also not viable. This is not recycling the biomass. We are destroying, we are oxidizing, it is going away, we are losing the biomass. So this means it is intercepting the mineral cycle. The decay is not proper. Then how can the birth be normal? How can the growth be normal? How can the death be normal? It cannot work. It cannot work. We need these cycles to be functioning. So this is not the method of doing it. Which is the method of recycling? It has to be recycled there on the spot. See, it is called the biological decay. It has to be done by livestock. What is livestock definition? All the moving beings on the landscape, they have to recycle the biomass that comes on top. And then it has to be received, one area finished, and again it grows, and then it should go on like that. That is how it has to be done. Just listen to this video.
The cattle go everywhere on this property because there is no other tool to produce the habitat for humans and wildlife. The leaves on the tree are dying and falling off. The tree is removing its own leaves. So when the rains come, after 8 months of no rain, the light can reach the buds and the tree can grow more buds. No grass can remove its own leaf. The grasses co-evolved with millions of large animals that help the grass by removing the leaf, so its sun could reach the growth points. Now, if we didn't have the wildlife, all this patch would be dead by now. So what is keeping this going is the elephants, the waterbuck, the giraffe, the bushbuck, the impala, the kudu, the game moving through it. So there's enough wildlife moving through this that it's keeping a lot of the grass alive. The big environmental organizations are very much part of the problem now, causing desertification and so on, because they believe the only way to keep these grasslands healthy is to burn that. Burning is rapid oxidation. It's still a chemical process and not a biological. So we are burning over 1 billion hectares of grasslands every year in Africa alone, causing enormous damage to society, to environment, to everything.
So by using, so biological decay is the way, then only mineral cycle is efficient. You cannot burn it, you cannot cut and export it. No, it won't work when we are affecting the mineral cycle. Then we can't achieve our context. So biological decay is by recycling with the herbivores who are supposed to eat the biomass. So crop residues should be seen not as a waste, but as providers of essential ecosystem services. It shouldn't be exported. It is not possible to take more out of a soil than what is put in it without degrading its quality. It will degrade your quality. It has to be recycled there on that spot of production by the herbivores. That is how it has to happen. That is the way in which it is supposed to function if we want to experience Purna. Take-home message from the nutrient cycle is that please do not kill plants, insects with inorganic or organic products. Remove plant from its roots. Remove crop residues, plant biomass from where it was grown. Burn the crop produce residues and plant biomass. Reprune a plant with livestock technology before it has recovered. That is, you have a plant there, the cows came and ate it. Don't send the cow there before that particular plant has recovered to the original stage, because if that is there, then that grass cannot grow and it will again reduce the mineral cycle. So all these factors have to be considered if you want an efficient mineral cycle. So we have completed 3. Now one that is remaining is community dynamics. Community dynamics is nothing but biodiversity. Biodiversity has to be there. There is no such a thing as an independent organism. All species need other species in order to survive. That is what human being is. We are a being in the system, not a separate entity. Trying to grow for one species is called monocropping. When we are also eating, we should see that simultaneously all the species are eating. That is, then all the species, everyone has the right to eat, to live in this universe. So there are two things. One is biodiversity and one is succession. Succession is the process of change and development in communities of all living organisms, including plants, microorganisms, and small and large creatures. A species will move into an environment when the conditions are suitable for its establishment. It's once you have disturbed a landscape, you have tilled a land, it is bare now. There is a way by which you can bring back that abundance. That is that process. That process of first the pioneer plants come, then change. Then once that has established the organic matter to a particular level, the next plant starts to come. Like that, finally you reach the abundance stage. And will move out of that environment when the conditions become unsuitable for its reproduction. So you can manage, as that is why we call ourselves as decision makers and orchestrators. The way we act and the paradigm on which we take decisions influences the biodiversity on our cropland, the fertility of our land. See, the first picture you see, that is the bare rock, then lichens come, small plants come, and they will do their recycling. It improves, and the grasses and perennials get established. Again, it improves, then shrubs, shade intolerant trees, many different, and finally you reach a climax community. So this process is called succession. And from, see the bottom one, you see that soil which you see the tray gets converted to the other one when it reaches the climax. This process is called succession, and this is what it's an end product of the community dynamics. See in this photo, you see initially there was the cactus growing there, then this neem plant came there in the next order, and now the neem plant is covered. So when it is intercepting the sunlight that is falling on the cactus, and slowly the cactus is dying. This is what is succession. Slowly it keeps improving. What causes succession to occur? The life in the soil. As that particular plant which is established in that condition improves the soil life, and that capitulates evolution as communities in each ecosystem increase in complexity. More and more plants, more and more complexity. From few simple species to complex set of species. That is what succession is. The greater the diversity of plants, the greater the diversity of microbes. It's a diversity in microorganisms. How does the diversity in microorganisms come? Diversity in plants. Because each set of plants feed a certain set of microorganisms. That makes it possible for natural systems to be so functional and healthy compared to the sterile, lifeless, and watered systems offered by monoculture with their limited microbial diversity. Above ground diversity is a mirror for the below ground diversity. Biodiversity feeds itself. Edge effect. See, edge effect is nothing but around the roots. See, each plant is shedding exudates, and there are organisms that come there to feed on that. Another plant that is growing nearby is having its roots, and it is also sending exudates. That is also giving a set of microbes. So the place where these two roots join is called the edges. More edges, more life. Where the edges join is where the more life comes. So this, because this one, any nutrient that a plant needs is being supported by the microbe that is being fed by another plant. So that is how totally called the edge effect. The effect of edge effect is it produces more nutritious food. Life increases proportionately to the boundary area between two environments. That is two roots. More edges, more interaction between environments. More food and habitat, more life, more edges. That is two different types of roots. Every time a new species is added, it provides food and habitat for numerous other species. More and more biodiversity, numerous other species of microbes. So crop fields with monocrops, it is equivalent to fewer edges, which is equivalent to more pest versus more pest will come when the crop field is mono because there is few edges. Same plant only, no, not much. But a crop field with diversity, more edges, no scope because the photosynthetic rate will be more. It will be above 14. So there is no chance for that. So organized cropping, that's the monocropping is organized cropping for human beings alone, paves way to organized diseases, epidemics and pandemics. This pandemic we saw is only because of monocropping, the way we see the landscape, the way we grow our, and the way we grew it, because the methods we use, that is what led to the pandemic. By a mask on the face, it won't go. Or with vaccination, it won't go. So biodiversity, what does it mean? Simultaneously feeding all life, that is biodiversity, versus monocropping, feeding only one species, man, that is monocropping. So in biodiversity, there are no pests because there is no competition. All are living together. Different crops are living together. But this one, it will be pest attack is more because monocrop, few edges, more pest. Garbage, only garbage can bring pest. See, it is not on the drinking water that you see the mosquitoes. It is in the garbage. Insects will come, flies will come only where there is garbage. So if an insect has come to a particular thing and it is damaging the system, simply mean it is garbage. Because a plant that is grown from a plant, fruit that you get from a plant with low levels of bricks can cause disease in you. That is what we have to understand. So these are all that you see, the infections, the infestations are symptoms of lack of biodiversity. The pandemics, the epidemics are symptoms of biodiversity loss. Need for tools, technology in farming. Each tool is replacing the job of the species in the biodiverse population. Biodiversity is the real option to the use of fertilizers, insecticides, and herbicides. We need biodiversity. That is how it has to be solved. In Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 14th verse, 9th sloka says, one should treat animals such as deer, camels, asses, monkeys, mice, snakes, birds, and flies exactly like one's own son. Now I think you have understood why we should see it as our own son, because they are a being in the system, and it is a collective effort that gives you a food with proper nutrition. How little difference there actually is between children and these innocent animals. They are doing their functional. Insects are the accumulators of nitrogen in an ecosystem. See, insects, they are the highest accumulator of nitrogen in the system because through their body, their structure, that chitin, their structure, a lot of protein is there. So nitrogen gets in forest. 90% of nitrogen comes from dead insects and their poop. We are trying to kill them. The nitrogen they add is plant available and not leachable. That is insects and nitrogen. Do we have to kill someone to grow someone? The insects are our real vaccination. They are producing, they are triggering the process of production of various chemicals in the body, biochemicals in the plant, which are supposed to be actually giving us the immunity, the system. They are the ones who trigger. Persons who want to advance in superior religion are advised to give up all envy of other living entities, whether in relationship to the body, words, or mind. There is no religion superior to this. That is, seeing all life, living as a human being with all life, as our own, seeing the Lord in all species. There is no religion superior to this. That is, if that is what we want to achieve. There is always consequence to your actions. Biodiversity for a livable climate. Loss of biodiversity consequences. Fresh water goes, food reduces in availability and quality, diseases, more and more chronic diseases will come, loss of climate stability, global warming. All these are biodiversity issues. Keep the soil always covered. Biodiversity leads to healthy soil, healthy plants, healthy animals, healthy food production, and healthy people. Any management practice that results in creation of bare ground shall be determined to the future. Some soil health principles to summarize. maximize the photosynthesis. This is the one and only industry that can sustain us. No other industry, any industry. Let me, if you can name one industry, okay, you name one. But is it reducing the photosynthetic capacity of a landscape? Then it is not a wise decision to take. You cannot experience Purna, that is. Provide shelter, moisture, and nutrition for soil life by keeping it covered year-round with living plants and mulch. Minimize physical, chemical, and biological stresses such as unnecessary tillage, biocides, over or under grazing. Grazing you will learn in the tomorrow's class more. Use plant diversity above ground to increase biological diversity above and below ground. More diverse, more life, more variety, more diverse life you will see in the soil. Integrate a diversity of animals to move nutrients, that is grazing by herbivores, microbes, seeds, and pollen, regulate water flows. Get to know the context of the land. You should have a context for which you are doing an action. And then only you can achieve the quality life you want to achieve. As to methods, there are a million and then some, but principles are key. Establishment of maintaining this 4 ecosystem processes is the principle that we have to do. The man who grasps principles can successfully select his own method. See, depending upon where you are, you can select a method. It's not that we are not at all going to give you a method. We are only telling you the principles. Depending upon area, you select the method, but it should be in favor of the principle that you want to follow. We have become ecologically blind. Blind, then where is the literacy coming in? The earth provides enough to satisfy every man's needs, but not every man's needs. What Mahatma Gandhi told. When you change the way you look at things, things you look at can change. To see a weed as a plant and a pest as an insect, both are our resources. If you change the way we see a plant, insect or a plant, then what you are going to experience is also different. So that is what we need. We have to convert that dysfunctional dirt into a functional life, no? Wherein the flowers are the life in the soil itself. An environmentally right decision, because we are all decision makers. All farmers are decision makers. An environmentally right decision now shall be the one and only economic approach in the long run. Because now we understood with this COVID itself, who could sustain? Only the farmers who are on the land, they could get something to eat. And we were so much dependent on the food at that time. So that is the important. So any decision that we take now, if it is able to, at least now, that means we have to now regenerate our landscapes to reach our destination or our context. Sustainability comes only after regeneration today, because we have damaged the Purna, damaged the experience of Purna by the way we are taking decisions. The system is going on, but it is not in favor of the way to achieve our context. So, an environmentally right decision now, that is, what is the environmentally right decision? That to increase the photosynthetic capacity of the landscapes. That is an environmentally right decision. In the long run, it's the only correct economic approach in the long run. I hope this part, the function of the plants and the function of the landscape is clear to you. Thank you for your patient listening. And if you have got any doubts, please be free to ask. Prabhuji, please take over.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you for the interesting session on function of plants and landscapes. Yeah, all these consequences are based on our decisions, what we have taken. Ultimately, we want to live in a quality of life, but unfortunately, because of the wrong decisions which we have taken, we are facing many issues. And now let us go to the question and answer session. If anyone would like to ask the questions, they can actually raise their hands and ask the questions, please. Yes, first question is from Shubham Sholar.
Hare Krishna, Guru, Dandavat Pranam. Guruji, My question is like, if someone goes for the multi-layer or biodiversity type of farming, doing in that also some weeds come. So what should be done with those weeding? So should we take it off, or it will have some function in some biological function or use of it? So should we weed it or not?
No, see, that is what we understood biodiversity. See, when you are removing a plant from your system, it is not a biodiversity system. It is again monocropping only, because we are growing only for human beings. See, when you grow, even if you are growing multi-layer, and then you are getting some tomatoes, for example, and if the bricks of the tomato is not reaching 12, then what did you gain from doing that? That the particular thing we are growing should be with nutrients, not in numbers or weight. It should be with nutrients. And that we have understood that the nutrients can come only when the photosynthetic rate is increasing and it has gone beyond 12. So you need to check even if it is check the nutrient density of the whatever produce you are making, and see whether it is about 12. And if it is not about 12, it is simply to understand that the biodiversity is not in place. So that particular plant which Prabhuji has now called weed, isn't it performing photosynthesis?
Yes, but
then how can we call it a weed? It's only
like,
a plant.
Like weeds, like if we see that like what conceptions or the misconception, I would say, they utilize the nutrients from the soil which could be utilized by the desired plants. So this is a fact, or this a misconception?
Yes, yeah, that is why we are trying to change the paradigm. No, that can never happen. We see more edges, more life. So when another plant is growing, it is only creating one more edge. See, certain nutrients that the plant that you are trying to grow, you just imagine zinc, you want zinc. And so the message is sent by the plant down to the microbes, I need some zinc. And if you do not have that particular microbe, maybe your set of the microbes that you are, the plant that is growing is not harboring the microbe that is supposed to give you zinc, then you have to get that microbe. No, that may be harbored by another plant which is growing there. So you need them. With their help only you will be able to get the zinc. That is why in our today we are having almost all of our food items as deficient in nutrients. See, by removing the weeds, we have not been able to completely remove the weeds. The weeds are only increasing. But one thing we are observing is the nutrient density in the food we are producing is decreasing. That is evident now. Isn't the mineral production, this pharmaceutical industry that is producing this mineral supplement, isn't it increasing daily? So that is where our decision should be. Should I purchase that and eat, or should I produce in the food I am growing? It's our decision, no problem.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. The next question is from Arpit Sharma.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste, Prabhu.
Guruji, in one of the slides, while explaining water cycle, it was mentioned that soil is the largest reservoir and there should be living plants throughout the year on it.
Yes.
Now, my question is, if someone is from Rajasthan or some other area where the water is deficient and the land is barren, then how can throughout the year the living plants can be maintained on the soil?
By increasing the organic matter in the soil. See, one photo had shown of biodiversity, lot of different types of plants growing. It is Jaipur photo only, from Jaipur only.
Okay.
It is possible, Prabhu. See, first of all, our mindset should change that, there isn't any weeds, there isn't any insects. We are a being. And then when we start to manage the landscape with that paradigm, then what you are going to see on the landscape is also going to change. That is why I'm telling you, when you change the way you see things, what you're looking at also will start to change. Now it is in our the thought, in Jaipur or in mini desert, nothing will grow. No, it's not right. It can come back. Everywhere you can have plants growing throughout the year. What you are doubting is I am not able to do monocropping. That may be right. Your question is right if your thought is I am not able to do monocropping, then it is right.
No, no, even maintaining the diversity of plants throughout the year.
That never very problem. The
Okay.
more, that is what succession means now. The more biodiversity that comes into the system, you can have it 365 days. See, you are free to visit the project in Jaipur. You can see that throughout the year something is growing there. That's a photo from Jaipur only.
So where in Jaipur, the project you are referring to?
It is two places. It is there, Chandwaji and Basi.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. The next question is from Hitarth Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Dhanwad, Prabhuji, can photosynthesis done by other living beings other than plants?
No, see, as so far, it is yet to be discovered. Maybe if discovery has happened at this moment, okay. But usually it's something that has the chloroplast, that is what does the photosynthesis. My knowledge on that is limited. But plants can do.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. So the next question is from Prashant Chaudhary.
Yes, Prabhu.
Namaskaram, Prabhu.
Namaskar. Namaskaram.
So my question is regarding the activity of farming, wherein you need some commercial output. I mean, of course, it is related to monocropping again.
Yes.
But then obviously you need some output. In that case, when you want to increase the plant biodiversity, as well as you want to keep the earth covered, then is it a way to add lots of different plants, at least the edible plants, and increase the soil quality?
Yes, definitely. See, Prabhuji, we are financially viable. A project is financially viable only when the resource also gets adding. No. See, for example, there's a sugar factory. The resource, that is the input needed, is sugarcane. It has to be there, no? 365 days.
Yeah.
So then that means then only if 1 year you did, second year you did, third year no sugarcane is coming, is it viable project? So even though that you got excess tons in the first year, and in the coming years if it is reducing, that means there is something wrong in the way we did it. No.
Correct. So so that means so for example, my land is like pretty much dead. I see.
Yes.
Right. So in that case, I was thinking the ways. I mean, would it be right way to have to plant lots of things, because many
Yes,
of the
Prabhu.
times the plant you want does not grow.
Yes, Prabhu. See, that is why I use the term biodiversity grows itself. Biodiversity only can create biodiversity. We may be able to put some plants which I know the seeds I have, I may be able to put. But a bird may be putting some plants that she is able to put, she is designed to put. Maybe an insect will come and put another one. Maybe a cow will come and pass the stool, and many other plants may grow. So it is the active collective work of biodiversity that can create biodiversity. We don't have that ability to create that biodiversity with our brain. Whatever we do, we will be only doing how will it benefit me. So once we become a being, then all our decisions will be such that you will permit. See, what I am trying to do in my plot, or wherever the people are following the holistic principles, they have decided that I will be putting what I can put, but I will not be preventing from any species to put what they can put. You also grow. In that case, a board will never be a problem for you.
It will damage the plants which you think
No, never. If you permit them also to do their function, it will never damage your crop. Prabhuji, selectively only they will damage. See, if there is a super functioning photosynthetic rate and capacity of your landscape, they will never damage a plant of yours. If it is not performing properly, they will come and hit it down. It is only to tell you this is not the way to do. That is why I'm telling you, change the way we see things. See, for example, we can change the way we are doing things. Like, instead of using chemicals, we can use some organic pesticide on the crop. But still, if the pest is coming, it means that we have only changed the way we are doing things. We have now understood that only a unhealthy plant will attract insects. So even when you are doing organically, still if you are getting the pest coming there, it simply means we have only changed the way we are doing. We have not changed the way we are seeing things. Major change can happen only when we see that only a healthy plant can give healthiness. Then we will look for the healthy practices. Healthy practice is when you are able to have the 4 ecosystem processes in place. Simultaneously, not one. Simultaneously, all should be there. And it is with biodiversity. See, many misunderstandings there. When we say the soil should be deep, so what we do? We created ponds. Actually, the soil should be deep means when the rain falls, you shouldn't be knowing that it is falling on it. It should be hitting the leaves only. You should not even touch the soil. The rain should not touch the soil directly. It should only touch the leaves. The sunlight should not touch the soil directly. You should only touch a living soil, living leaf. That is the perfection of biodiversity. And that cannot be done by human beings alone. We need the help of biodiversity to do it.
So one related question to that, in my land, I'm seeing lots of Congress grass, right? And in fact, like most of the plants which grow what we call as a weed, they are Congress grass. So now, as the nature has to balance, because I'm letting at least those parts of the farm being managed by nature, and I'm not using any chemical. So what does it mean by nature putting lots of Congress grass itself? I mean, it's a kind of nature's monocropping, isn't it?
Yes, it is an unintended consequence to correct the practice that we have done. See, when it is disturbing, see, like, in some cases, it may be touch me not plant that is coming up there. When that plant comes, it is preventing the animals from doing the overgrazing. Because something living has to be there. And whatever practice that I am trying to do is again worsening the situation. So then it is that particular status of that soil is only fit for this plant to grow there. So by improving with biodiversity, that is like, you can put more biodiverse crop residue over there, increase the biodiversity there, at least through the residues. The next time you will see a different plant coming there.
Got it.
Don't worry. In tomorrow's class, the procedures are also. Procedure means how to put the principles in place is being told. I think our Abarna Mataji is there in this group. She also had the problem. She was in one of our class. She has done it, and now she is saying it is this particular Congress is going. Now she is with some other party.
Wow. That's saving. Thank you. I'll look forward to that.
Putting the principles in place, any action that we are doing, just this is the basic. You are going to take a decision for your environment. Is my decision going to improve the photosynthetic capacity of the landscape? And you know what photosynthetic capacity is? That is how much leaves are, not just one type of leaf, how many types of leaves are intercepting the sunlight throughout the year. That is what photosynthetic capacity. Are we able to achieve that? We human beings cannot achieve it with our own ability. We need the help of biodiversity to get it done. That is when we become a being.
Right.
Prabhuji, it may look opposite to what we have been listening, but once we start doing it, once we take a decision to do it, everything will fall in line.
Sure. And I will look forward to tomorrow's session. Yeah,
Yes.
so that will make my idea clear.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next question, again, one more question from Shubham Sholar.
Pooji, I wanted to ask a question, but before that, what you just said about the sunlight and the rainwater, it shouldn't directly fall on the soil. But
Yes.
then again, quality of the soil is again like one factor is like how much water holding capacity it has. So like this capacity will be affected if we don't have the open land or open soil. If we have something on the surface, then the holding capacity, what will happen to it?
It will increase. No, see, the water holding capacity is dependent on the carbon content of the soil. So now we understood that by the carbon pump, you are pumping carbon into the soil, and a certain percentage of carbon comes from the top also by through the falling of leaves. So the more leaves, more carbon in the soil. More carbon in the soil means more harvesting of water. There is only one way. More organic matter is like you are harvesting more rain. That is how the relation.
One question regarding this biomass, yes, what the pictures what you showed, if you go with the monocropping, will get excessive of the biomass on the surface.
Yes.
So the problem with the small scale farmers is like they have got only a small like 1 acre or something like that. So is there any way in which they can utilize this biomass, or we can speed up the decomposition of it so that they can utilize it for the next crop?
No, see, even if it is 1 acre, it doesn't change the principle. No, see, again, whatever he has grown, he is recycling the biomass on that land itself. What is the problem?
But like if we see the farmers, they burn it completely.
Now, if you burn, then you are out of the system. It's a human doing. Burning is you are losing the biomass. No, it has to be recycled there. Then the Jagat Chakra gets disturbed. Then how can we increase the fertility of the land?
So means I was thinking like if we suppose chop it off, maybe like the leaves, like mango leaves or the guava leaves or chiku leaves. If we chop it off, will it increase the decomposition speed, like something?
That means you are trying to reduce the size of that particular plant when it falls on the ground?
Yes. What is falling down, chop it off.
See, actually, I told you, any technology that we use is replacing a function of a particular species. So there are people down on the soil who is supposed to chop it. Let them chop it, Prabhu. Why do you want to do that job? You are very much having a lot of free time.
No.
Free time should be there. Actually, free time should be there. But what I'm saying is, as you do this process, more life will come on the soil. More life on the soil means less dependence on technology. My aim is not to reduce your dependence on technology, but my aim is to increase your dependence on biodiversity. That's all.
Puji, you also talked about this some mobile app which will help in getting the bricks count and something. Could you please?
Yeah, bricks. It is an equipment called refractometer. And see, actually, in a stage wherein we are having the offline classes, we show how it has to be done. But it's easy to understand. Just Google and you can see refractometer and use of refractometer to find the bricks of your nutrients. You can see in the video, they'll show you how it is done. So only when it is above 12, it reads that your soil or your plants are having a good what do you say, bricks is good, or the photosynthesis is taking place ideally. See,
yeah, I can post the bricks pictures.
Yeah, please.
Bricks.
Yeah, we have that WhatsApp group now. Prabhuji, you will post it, no?
Yes, bro.
Then in that you can see how it is being done.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, we may be producing tons and tons of food grains or vegetables or fruits, but if it doesn't have the nutrients, what are we trying to do? Okay, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji, yes, yes.
Siddharth Prabhu again.
Okay. Yes, Siddharth Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhuji, where there is less rain, um, uh, can we create a pond for rainwater harvesting?
Prabhuji, there isn't anything wrong in creating a pond there, provided it will increase the photosynthetic capacity of our landscape. Then do it, Prabhu.
Okay.
Any action, if it will improve the photosynthetic capacity of a landscape, you should do it. But why are you doing it? That's the question comes. Then naturally you will say, I want to irrigate. Maybe for your personal consumption. It is not a problem. You can do it. But it shouldn't be when the resource is so limited, don't think of a big commercial operation. That will again further degrade your system.
For animals, for their.
That's what I told. To feed someone, you need water. Please surely do it. Because it is going to increase the photosynthetic capacity. No, you can do it. But as your soil organic carbon increases, one day you will understand that it's not needed. Okay, to start with, you may do, but slowly you will have to face it out. You may have to face it out.
Okay, thank you.
Prabhuji, can Aparna Mataji add on to the procedure she did to reduce the Congress? Can you permit her?
Yes, yes, please.
Aparna Mataji, are you there? Can you add on the method that you used to reduce the Congress, your dependence on Congress party?
Sure, Prabhuji. Can everybody hear me? Because
Yes.
I'm on the road and
Yes,
the
yes,
internet
please.
may be sketchy.
Please.
So I don't know how far the class got with respect to grazing. I don't know if I will be talking about things that the audience may not be able to understand. But I used the cows, the rotational grazing. I used a lot of fodder on heavily degraded soils to let the cows graze and let dung and urine fall directly on the landscape, and with the result, the landscape, the soil was completely mulched, either with the fodder or with the dung. And slowly I started to see the Congress or the Parthenium that usually comes in very degraded soils, and it slowly gave way to another kind of plant, which is able to sustain with the sponginess of the soil that is there at that time. So I'm slowly noticing the progression in the soil once the soil nutrient is starting to repair itself using cattle primarily, and not exporting the biomass from my location.
So whatever came there, that means whatever biomass you have been exporting, you stopped it, and now you started importing some biomass to that place. Naturally, that changed the type of plant that is growing there.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, that's. I stopped the export of the biomass and started to bring in those creatures that belong to the landscape.
Yes, yes. So the another thing is you recycle the biomass at the spot itself. There itself you did. You didn't bring the dung. Instead, you brought the cows there.
Yes.
Okay.
No. I brought the cows to where the biomass was.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you recycled it at the site itself.
I recycled them at the site. I bought the cows and the buffaloes and all the cattle that I had right where the biomass was, and I made them eat right at the site on the landscape. So I freed them from the Goshala and brought them directly to the landscape.
Okay. This topic is what is going to come tomorrow. But anyway, thank you for your input so that they will be able to show interest to listen tomorrow.
Yes, that will be an interesting topic. Yeah.
Thank you, Aparna.
Okay. So, any more questions? Okay. So, I don't think any more questions. So,
is there any question in the chat box?
Chat box, I didn't check.
Yeah, about snakes and.
Yes. It is from Jay Balram Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Dr. Sree Kumar Prabhu. How to live safely if snakes are in the farm or near residential area?
See, in this farm, I can say residential area, the tactic may be different. The farm, see, I am also a person very much afraid of snakes because the reason why is from my young age, I have been told this snake, no, it is having poison. It will come and bite you. Actually, that is not the way the snakes behave. If you are trying to disturb it, it may do as a protection measure. It may be doing, and naturally, the way it is protecting, like a dog will bite, that is also having a system by which it protects itself. So then we should be managing. First of all, the fear should go from our system, and then we should be knowing their movements. We should be able to understand their movements. And the presence of snake in an area, it's only showing that there is life because they have to feed on something. No, what are they feeding on? It is anyway not on the tomatoes or potatoes that you are growing. What are they feeding on? They are feeding on bigger macro life, maybe chameleons, maybe rats. And what does that mean? That means there is some life on your land. That is what you should understand, no? See, yesterday one person called me and told, see, long in past, when they were going in search of a groom, no? Bride or bridegroom, they used to see whether there are snakes in that area. And only if they understand that there are snakes in the area, they will select the bride or the groom. So that's common sense, no? That's a good way of thinking. Prabhuji, I am also afraid of snakes, but that is because of the paradigm I'm having. That has to change, and we have to start to become a being.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much for enlightening that important message. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. There is another question from Sada Yogi Prabhu. Do we need to remove pebbles and stones from our land as we start farming?
Not needed, Prabhu. Not needed.
Role of Jivamrit in the beginning.
There is nothing wrong because you are giving life. See, like, if you want to make curd, you need some what do you say, that culture, no? It is like you are providing the culture. Jivamrit is providing the culture. There isn't anything wrong. But it shouldn't be a continuous process. Once you start, it is good to produce. We may need Jivamrit. There is nothing wrong in it. But as time, it shouldn't be that every time you need Jivamrit. Only for the start. It's good. It's nothing wrong. It is at least a system wherein we are accepting that you need life in the soil to produce life.
Nice. Okay.
Bring in more mulch, Prabhu. Bring in more mulch. Yeah. That will bring the earthworms. So the living roots, the dead root, the dead mulch, that is what should bring the earthworms, Prabhu.
Yeah, Siddhartha Prabhu, you have a question?
Yeah, Prabhuji, when we graze cows in forest, I have seen the cows are eating plant leaves, like leaves of the many forest trees, leaves of the even fruit trees. I've observed they are eating plants of pomegranate trees and many other fruit trees. So is this natural or should we intervene their eating?
No, it's not a poisonous one. No, let them eat.
Okay.
See, one thing
That is the natural pruning.
Prabhu. So that thing that we should why we are afraid is, see, a cow, if they are properly grazed in a planned way, they will be coming and eating only once in a particular time. There, the next day, the cow is not there. So what have you done to that plant? You have only pruned it. It will only increase the growth.
Okay.
Because tomorrow it is in another place. You may come in the next year, or you may come back in the 6 months. By that time, there will be good growth. There. It is never going to damage your plant. It is only going to improve the growth or increase the photosynthetic capacity because of pruning. If you are bringing the cow to the same place tomorrow, then it is going to damage.
Okay. Thank you, bro.
Yes, bro.
Thank you. So let us end today's session. So today is a very interesting topic, and tomorrow is also a wonderful, interesting topic actually. That is functions of cow. That is also covered, is being covered by Dr. Sree Kumar Prabhu, and I request all the participants to participate, and we request everyone to come early. I mean, by 11 o'clock. Many people are asking about the recording sessions. I am repeating again. We will be definitely, for surely, we will be uploading in our YouTube channel, because I'm traveling. I don't have a proper internet speed to upload into our YouTube channel. So for me, it takes another 4 or 5 days to upload in our channel. So till then, please kindly wait. We will update in the group accordingly. Thank you very much. And today's session, we will be sending the questionnaire, and we request all the participants to attend it. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu. Thank you, Dr. Sree Kumar Prabhu. Hare Krishna.